Talking to some of the best names in contemporary Christian music. This is the Hope FM Artist Interview.
Imagine, guys, that when you're on the road, there are sometimes things that don't go entirely to plan or just are very funny incidences. Have you got a story that you could share with us?
Oh man, we have so many stories. We have too many stories.
Ready? So in an RV, you have to dump your own waste. And so this can be fun and adventurous. So we were on our way for a big meeting in Springfield, Missouri with a publisher for Go and for our book Go. And Brittany was late in the studio in Nashville, just mixing her song Home. And we finally finished it and got on the road. And I had to drive all through the night because we had a meeting at 3:00 the next day at the publishers. And so it was about an 8-hour ride there. And then we had to kind of, sleep and all that. And so on the way, I had to stop off and get gas. And I was getting back on the highway when I heard something rumble outside, and I thought I'd run over something. Anyhow, so I just kept going, and I had to pull off a couple of exits ahead to sort of dump my tanks again. So these are the waste tanks. You have gray water and black water, and you've got to get rid of them.
This is the stuff, by the way, that we like to share with these young, aspiring teenage artists that are like, think this is just the most glamorous thing in the world that we do, that we are just like,
rock stars.
We have arrived, and we have to go, okay, there's a whole nother world to this.
God likes to keep you humble.
You gotta make sure that you're called, because it's not all glamour and glitz and fun and
So I pulled off at this gas station, and when I got there, the sun was just rising, and I got there, and I realized what that noise was one of the bays in our RV opened up and spilled out all this merch. It was empty. And so I'm like, oh my God, I lost all of our stuff, but I still have to dump my tank. And it's hard to find these gas stations that have like a dump station. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna dump the tank. They obviously fell out over there. It's like 5 a.m. Someone's probably, I'm sure nobody's taken our stuff, you know what I mean? So anyway, so I go to dump my tank, and the hose breaks off the RV and sprays
everywhere.
all of our stuff.
Oh my
all
goodness.
over the So, and it's not like you can get in there and shut it off, because you're going to get drenched. I was already drenched with my own feces. And so I'm like,
I apologize if any of your audience is like beeping right now. Sorry.
Basically, like a high pressure sewer hose is going off all over all of your stuff.
And
just pouring out. Yes. Anyway, so I made a big mess. I finally shut it down. I hosed off as much as I could. I am covered. And so I've got to hose myself down.
And I wake up to this because I'm sleeping in the back of the bus, and I hear just this yell sound, and then he comes in, and he just starts ripping out clothing, and it just smells horrible.
So that bay wasn't all the way empty. It had a few boxes left in it. And so anyway, I shut it down. I got it myself changed, and I'm like, I got to get back to that exit, right? Because all that merch is probably sitting there. And so now this is taking longer than I wanted. I pull out, and I pull like going so fast. I pull onto the main road, and it's like a 6-lane highway, not a highway, but like a route. And so the bay opens up again and spills out all our merch. So it broke, the bay door broke, and it spills out all the rest of that merch, all our CDs, boxes of cardboard boxes onto the road. And so I noticed this, and I'm like, oh my God. So I pull over and get out, and as I get out, I'm trying to get there to get the CDs.
This madman who smells of and he's just running out in the middle of the highway.
Here comes a truck, but this truck is coming, and I'm like, stop! And he runs right over all our CDs. There's a big mess. So I'm out there trying to collect them, and some guy pulls over, and he's trying to help me, and I'm like, hey, so he's Spanish, he doesn't speak English, and so I had a Spanish savior, and it's called Salvador. So I handed it to him. I'm like, maybe this was for you. Maybe this is what this is all about. It was for you. And anyway, so I pack up all the stuff. We get back on, and I get to that off ramp where that rest of the merch is there was supposed to be spilled out, and there's nothing there. It's gone.
Oh.
So I'm like, okay.
And now don't forget we're on this time crunch because we have an
I got to get to Springfield, Missouri.
We have an important meeting with publishers. Yeah. We're just going to make it.
I've got like 6 hours to get there. And now I'm like, okay, if I just go the whole way, I'll get there like on time with maybe 5 minutes to spare. So I'm maybe like 20, I think is what it was. So I'm driving. I'm thinking to myself, what did I lose? Because I'm trying to do inventory. Like, what was in that bay that opened up that we lost? And then I'm like, the books.
The very books that we're going to Springfield for. All of our books are gone.
Yeah, all the books are gonzo.
All of our books, equipment, CDs. I mean, just everything that was in that large bay was just gone. And we're just, and there's nothing we can do.
It's probably about the length of what we're sitting in here.
And
so for the listeners at home, the place they're sitting in is quite large. So it's a big load of stuff to the left. And it's significant, isn't it?
Yeah, it's probably 15 feet long. And anyway, so I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to get there and talk about this book, and they're going to go, well, where is it? You know.
So we're just kind of sitting in silence in the RV at this point, driving, just kind of in disbelief of what just happened.
What are we going to do?
And probably had the windows open because of how bad it smelled still, and he didn't have time to clean himself up properly. And we're just kind of, I just remember kind of staring ahead, like, what just happened? What are we going to do?
And the phone rings.
And not only that, Gordon, it was the beginning of a 2-month tour out west. So we were going from there, we're going out to California.
Yeah, that's right.
And doing a ton of dates. And it was like all of our merch now was gone. So we're just sitting there like, what in the world? And then all of a sudden, maybe, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes, something like that later.
Someone calls.
He gets a call on his cell phone.
And they said, is this the Cashmans? And I said, well, this is Jonathan Cashman. And she goes, I found a bunch of your stuff. And I'm like, oh, good. At least it's found, right? But now it's not helping me because I can't turn around now and go all the way back because I've been driving maybe for 15, 20 minutes. I can't turn around, get stuff, and then turn all the way back. So I'm just like, I still got to just go and just talk to him about this. So I said, well, what I can do maybe, she goes, how do I get this back to you? I found a bunch of your boxes and a suitcase and stuff. I said, well, maybe I could send a UPS, box to you. I don't know. I'm gonna pay for shipping.
We'll pay for shipping. If there's a way you could ship it.
So she goes, well, where are you? And I said, well, what do you mean? I'm at mile marker, whatever. And she said, oh, I'm like 5 minutes behind you. I'm going the same direction. And we're like, yeah. So we pull over, wait for her. She comes in, and I am like, I want to kiss her. You know what I mean? I'm like, thank you.
This lady.
So I give her everything. I'm like, here's our book.
We wanted to pay her. She wouldn't accept any money. So we just started unloading on her. All of our CDs, all of our books, here, t-shirt, everything we have. We're just, please, let us bless you.
So then but now we're like, all right, we can't stop. I gotta floor it to Springfield. And it was like 6-hour ride. And I'll tell you what, man, we got there just in time. Just in time for me to run in the back,
take the fastest shower.
Quick shower, put on new clothes. I didn't want to smell like,
throw on a suit jacket, look professional,
look it all again. And we get into, and it's this massive building, and we get in, we have this big meeting, you know what I mean? And it's like, if you guys had any idea what we just came through, and when we got the deal, and they signed it, but we got out, and I think it was like a few days later, I got a text from that lady. Listen to this. She says, you don't know this, but I've had stage 4 cancer. And those books and your music has been touching me in such a way that I just can't be more thankful that I met you and all this stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, this is amazing. But God, isn't there a better way?
Easier way to get this to her.
Like a less feces-filled way to administer.
You've been watching The Artist Interview. For the full podcast, click the links below or visit hopefm.com/The Artist Interview.